Hey guys, welcome back to Popcorn Podcast.
Popcorn
Ooh,
podcast.
let's do the movie podcast and call it Popcorn Podcast.
Popcorn podcast. You remember that Facebook group I started back then? It was like a
All access movie group.
movie.
It's still
group.
active.
It's still there.
And I get
Remember that one guy who was, like-
notifications all the time.
Remember that one guy that like ate it up?
Oh, he loved
He
the one guy who
ate
loved it.
We didn't know him, but he was like
Yeah.
this older guy, and he was sharing stuff.
He's just a movie fan.
He
yeah.
used to message me and be like, "I love what you're doing. Like, this is amazing. I'm so happy to be part of this. Like, I want more people in it." And I'm like,
Dude.
"Thank you. Thank you, sir." I'm like just some like high school kid, And he's
It's
just
still
like,
going.
There's so much potential. And I'm like, sure. He
Was there-
started
I'm
inviting
confused.
people.
Like, yeah, all access. I love how you called it all access.
Oh,
movie.
access movie on Facebook.
Good time, good name.
Yeah.
All access. It implies that there's like a lot of content to like absorb.
I can think of that name, but for this damn YouTube channel, I can't think of shit.
Yeah, we got nothing.
We still do podcasts though.
Oh, that's good tea, man. That's so good.
The tea looks refreshing.
It's peppermint.
Oh, okay.
I would offer you one, but that's my last bag.
I don't know if I'm into like peppermint flavored
Ooh, I
stuff.
love peppermint tea.
Like peppermint coffee, not a big fan of it.
I've never had peppermint coffee.
I'm just not a big fan of
I'll
that
try
kind of
anything once though.
stuff. Yeah.
I love peppermint tea though. Peppermint tea. So good.
Yeah.
So good. So what are we talking about?
Climax, Climax the movie.
If you love Clay and you love Max, you're gonna fucking love Climax, the movie coming to theaters near you.
Do that again.
Climax. His name was Max. My name's Max. And this is Clay. I'm a ball of clay. No. When the two of them get together, they become Climax. We've got to protect the city from all this clay. Clay is getting everywhere, and it's controlled by a boy named Max. Climax. I don't know.
Clay to the max.
Clay all the way to
what
the
would
max.
be the thing for it, like the slogan, in movie like theaters, like when
Clay
you see
harder.
the poster, it's got that like cheesy line,
Sculpting just went to a whole new level.
no.
This ain't your kid's Play-Doh.
Oh fuck!
It's Climax. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this movie.
Yeah, Climax is the actual name for it. Climax.
The movie is called Climax. How do we intro this?
Well, you've watched it 4 times now, I guess, and you've been wanting me to see it for a really long time.
Yeah.
And today I was like, you know what? I'll do it.
Yeah.
You had to talk me really into it. I was not feeling the movie, but it turned out to be a good experience.
It's a little bit of a tough sell, especially if you're not familiar with the guy who made the movie. Like if you're not familiar with I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like Gaspar Noé.
I have no
Gaspar.
Yeah.
I don't know. French. I think he's French or something. I'm not 100% sure on this. I have not researched it. But this dude has been kind of known to make like really weird, extreme movies. And
Love
so-
is one of them.
Yeah, that movie.
Oh, and
Love.
what's
It's
the
on
bigger
Netflix.
one,
I
though?
watched that today.
What's the bigger one?
He did Enter the Void.
Yeah, that.
And then
movie.
he did this other movie called Irreversible that I have not seen, but everyone
And those
goes
movies
crazy
are all
for.
pretty nuts. Like,
Yeah, they all have a
different.
reputation of being different, kind of out there. They call it like French extremism.
but you put this perfect during the movie. You said this film is more of like a something horror.
It's like a psychological kind of type deal because it kind
Yeah.
of throws you in a
But
bad, in a weird
not
headspace.
knowing, or putting you in like a different
Yeah,
seat of the show.
right. It's a different type of horror in this. Like a lot, this movie, if you look it up online, it's like listed under horror. Like the first time I watched it, I was trying to think. I was like, what makes this horror? Like what's horror about this? And maybe this is my first time seeing a movie of this kind of like nature. But what was freaky about it is like how realistic of a situation it is. Like how real everything feels.
Makes
like,
you squirm.
how plausible that
Oof.
could have happened to you at some point in your life.
It makes you feel like you feel bad for these people, but you also are like, if that was me, I don't know what I would be doing or thinking.
It's
scary.
This movie, like, how like some people when they watch Jaws, they develop like a fear of like the ocean or whatever.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, or movie I can't look at clowns the same. This was kind of like that.
What is it spelled backwards? Tie?
Yeah.
T-I? The rapper?
Illuminati confirmed. we just figured it out.
Or how's it?
Are you talking about like the X-Files thing?
Yeah.
Song? I don't know.
Did you bring the book?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going off topic here, but before we recorded, I was just like, Dylan, you should just read a page out of this fucking book on your shelf. And it was
Edgar Allan Poe.
The Complete Stories and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. Nothing wrong with Edgar Allan Poe.
Maybe we'll save that for the end.
But it's just funny. It's just random.
We just want to do that.
Yes.
Also, who doesn't like Edgar Allan Poe?
That is true. It's kind of special if you hear it. Yeah. I probably sound like I cut there, but I actually didn't. Surprised. Did I get you? It sure sounded like it to me, which is weird.
Got him. Got him. Anyway, back to this fucking movie.
Okay, yeah, Climax.
Yeah, it's like this movie developed fears to me that I didn't know I had before watching it, because I've never, put myself in a situation where I'd be like, oh, what would I do if I was in these characters, situation? And I guess maybe we should describe the movie a little bit to people who might not have seen this movie. If you haven't seen this movie or heard it, like look it up for one, and then also go watch it. I mean,
no, you know what? I say just go into it. Yes.
Maybe don't look
into it. It's an experience. Okay. It's like being in it.
Maybe if you've not heard of this movie, maybe
it's art.
Maybe just like don't look it up, don't watch it. Just find a way to watch it. Try to avoid as many plot summaries you can. I wish I had like not known what this movie is about before going into it.
I know what you mean. It's like a trip itself.
Yeah,
on you.
It almost put you like more in the character's seats.
You know what? Movies do that to me anyway.
Right.
Like, but this one like kind of put me in their seats. Like right now, I know I'm not like on anything, but I feel like something's weird.
Yeah,
it's great. It's just it puts you through an adventure. Like you really feel like you're there.
The way it's shot,
or how they feel.
Okay, so
like that's the one.
That's the warning for people who don't want to know any more about this movie.
Yeah,
right there. Maybe we'll throw up a timestamp.
Yeah. Stop watching. Stop watching.
There's the time.
Stop watching.
Do you see the timestamp? It's right there, you fools. All right, now we're going to talk about it. Anyway.
So the dragons in the movie. I'm sorry, there's no dragons.
This movie is about a bunch of like dancers, academy of some kind.
Mm-hmm. In France?
It's in France, and it's a French movie, so everyone speaks in French, and so it's subtitled. If you don't like foreign movies, whatever. Read a book.
How do they sound exactly?
French?
Yeah.
I'm not good at French accents, but it's like...
Realize this could be your career.
I love the line. There's a line where one of the characters says...
Dylan, watch it.
I love there's a line in...
Dylan, wait.
There's a line in the movie where one of them says, Dance, baby, dance. Dance, baby, dance.
I don't sound too...
That don't sound French, does it? See, I'm not good at French. Oui, 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 oui.
Oh, damn, he went there.
Oui, oui, croissant. Suck that blood.
I don't know if I should edit this to save you or not.
Yeah, oui, oui, red wine. Croissant. Beignet.
Oh, this is terrible.
Anyway.
Should never asked. We're sorry.
I've never been, like, is that French racism? Like, can you be French racist?
It's not racist.
I mean,
it's,
that's a different, like, if a French person, can a French person get hate crimed?
Oh, yeah.
I never thought about this before.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the plot of this movie.
When they're a minority, like in
for sure,
possibly like a city
like
or
African American or an African French. I'm gonna stop right here. I'm sorry. I take it all back. I didn't say anything. Skirt. I don't know. Anyway, so these dancers have gathered on a wintry evening. It's like, it's never really properly explained, but I guess it's blizzarding outside. It's like snowed. I don't know if they're technically snowed in or whatever, but they're in this like dance academy of some kind. It's like some kind of weird like little dance place in the middle of nowhere, France. All of them, it's like a weekend retreat, whatever. They're rehearsing this big dance, like they have this dance thing, right? And they do the dance, and then they start partying.
Mm-hmm.
They got a big bowl of sangria, everyone's pounding.
They love the sangria, by the way.
Yeah, everyone goes crazy.
It's a lot of shots of people being like, "This is great sangria."
Yeah, they're like pounding the sangria, and they're dancing. They're starting to feel themselves, and
they're talking about like fucking everything.
Yeah, they talk that a lot of them. They break off at one point.
Just want to fuck that person. Just want to fuck that person.
They all just talk about fucking each other.
Yeah.
So it's a really fun, playful movie. Like up to that point,
fun, playful movie.
Really is.
It's for kids.
It's not for kids. There is a kid in the film, though. Unfortunately, that's unfortunate.
And spoiler alert.
No, not yet.
Well, they're gonna guess now. They're just gonna be like,
you know what? Just go ahead and say this is a spoiler review up until whatever this point.
That is true.
Timestamp.
That is true. That is true. I will put that up there.
There's the timestamp right there.
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
Leave. Turn around,
Leave
man.
here
You ain't
now.
seen this movie, man. Don't listen to this shit no more. Anyway.
Edgar Allan Poe.
So we'll get there, AJ. We'll get there. So everyone's drinking the sangria, having a good time, dancing. All of a sudden, they all start to feel a little something. Mm-hmm. Turns out the punch bowl or the sangria bowl has been spiked with LSD. So
and they've
been pounding it.
Like a shit ton of this stuff.
So they're all like, "Oh fuck!" Like
is that deadly?
It has to be. I don't know much about it.
Well, by seeing the characters, I could see it.
It seems like it would be lethal. It's like a really powerful drug. Yeah.
I mean, this is a movie where someone kills himself.
Yeah.
Where someone stabs himself. Like
it's got a lot of a pretty violent movie.
Beating each other up.
So anyway, the movie kind of starts to derail. Everyone starts to realize that they're coming on to a trip.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, this is what's nuts about is these people only have known each other for like 3 days.
Yeah, it's like they've only known.
They don't even like.
So there's a lot of
there's nothing there.
There's a lot of like they all kind of shit talk each other a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like there's moments where they're all like talking about each other. Mm-hmm. So you kind of start to get like a little bit of a sense of what kind of group you're in here, and like a little bit of like who these characters are, but it's still vague enough to where it's just like anything could happen. So some people react really positively to the drug, and then like a lot of other people don't. And they plunge deeply into a terrible, terrible, terrible bad trip. Chaos ensues. People just turn on each other. There's everyone starts beating the shit out of each other. But then they're also dancing to this incredible.
Yeah, there's some that's like it's not affecting them as crazy. Like they aren't having bad trips.
Right.
Like there's some people having like I'm trying to think it inside their head.
They're like,
and it's just terrifying.
They're just like in pure bliss. But all this chaos is happening around them.
Oh my God. Ugh. And everything's causing more of like a trip for them. Like people screaming.
I know. It's it's a really bad.
Like I can't imagine me on acid and like hearing people screaming and people dying.
It's like a nightmare.
And people, and you don't know what's going on and everyone else is confused and you don't know to believe them. And it's like, my mind exploded during that movie because of how I was trying to imagine what they were going through.
It puts you like in the state of mind where you're trying to like see things from like these characters' perspectives, because it's like, even though this is a drug movie, you could classify this as like a drug movie. It's a trippy drug movie because everyone's on acid,
but they do it in such a unique way.
It's like the villain of the movie.
Yeah.
Like the drug is like
they don't show anything. Like they don't show how they're tripping.
It's not visually.
They show them tripping.
Right. It's not. There's no like visual representation of the film besides like the lighting and the camera work and stuff. Yeah. And even like in the movements of their dancing,
the music kind of in a way.
Like like they put out a really psychedelic vibe.
They really did
without like without henching on like showing you what they're seeing, or whatever they're hallucinating.
Yeah.
Which I thought is great. Like it's super well executed, and it's like it adds like this layer of tension to the whole film, because this movie is driven by like this beating soundtrack. Like this is like
it's got Daft Punk in it.
Daft Punk.
I love Daft Punk,
dude. The soundtrack is banging in this movie. I've been listening to the soundtrack like on repeat every day.
Yeah,
because it's
I bet it's great music. It's fantastic.
Music. Keeps you moving, but it also like kind of keeps you serene.
Yeah,
but like there's Daft Punk and there's Aphex that I've heard of before, because this movie takes place in like it's like 1996 or something.
Yeah, I think so.
It's
96 or
it's like
7.
90s techno kind of type. Although I really don't know. There's
a kid who actually. Oh my god, this is like.
That's the part that fucks me up the most. To be honest with you, like
because I am trying to think of what that kid's going through.
Oh yeah, so
that's gotta be nuts.
Like the kid stuff.
How do you grow up after because this kid's young.
This
He's
kid
really
doesn't
like
grow up,
innocent.
though.
Like like what happens to you as a human being? If you're like 5,
that's where
6
the
years
horror.
old.
That's where the horror aspect is. Is the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm thinking about this mother.
This kid doesn't understand what's going on. The mother locks him.
There's like this woman here, and she's with her kid. I don't quite remember what her role is amongst the dancers, but she's got her fucking kid with her. And, you know, it's a party and everyone's drinking the sangria. The mom's drinking it. The kid, she puts the kid to bed. The kid sneaks out later and is drinking it because he just wants to dance with everyone and participate in the party.
Mm-hmm.
But the sangria is like loaded with acid. So now we've got a child, like a 6-year-old child with a head full of acid romping around this movie. And I don't even want to talk about like the kid in the movie at all because it really upsets me. It's like such a
It's dark.
It's such a dark. Like this movie really does like it fucks with you a little bit.
It does, man.
Like
because like even just imagining the mom, like what she's saying, she doesn't understand what's going on. She's like tripping on acid.
Thinking.
She's trying to do the best for her son. Puts him in like an electric.
It makes sense. Like
what was it? A fuse room?
It's like it's like the breaker room or whatever.
Room. Yeah.
And she looks and she walks
this
through it.
She's
thinking
screaming, talking about saying like shit.
She's thinking this is good for him. Yeah. Because she doesn't know what none of them. The thing is like a lot of the characters in the film also don't even know what the drug is that they're on. Like they're asking each other, they're like, "What is this? Is this like how like they don't know what to do with themselves?" And so it just puts you in that headspace of like, what would you do if you were in that situation? You know, like how would you respond? Just a really nightmarish place. Like, although for some people it seemed really great. Like a lot of people seem to take to it. Like there's a lot of people just keep dancing.
What's crazy is when that breaker goes off and everyone doesn't like understand, but then it just like occurs to them, the boy, the kid,
he's fried,
and he fried himself in there touching it.
When I first watched that, like when I first watched the movie, I thought they were saying like he's fried as in like the kid drank the acid, so they're like Tito's fried. So I thought that was fucked up enough on its own that these characters are like all kind of like laughing about it.
They were doing that for like everything that I thought was terrible.
I know, like, a lot of the characters were just laughing at everything that was happening. Like whenever, every time the camera just kind of drifts around, you know, like in this movie, like you just kind of feel like you're following these characters around. But anytime someone walks past that breaker room, you can hear like the kids screaming.
Oh, I know.
And it's just so terrifying and so awful.
That's how he died, man. That was his last moment.
I know. And it's such a fucking grim. It like reminds you how cruel the world can be sometimes.
It really does. It really does.
Because it's like, oh my god, like just such a nightmare scenario. I mean, this movie is it makes sense like why they would classify it as a horror. Because this movie is just downright. A lot of people call Gaspar Noé, like the filmmaker, they say he makes challenging movies. They say he like virulent, like realistic, extreme films, like Love, which is on Netflix. You can watch. I mean, that on the surface is like a movie about like this kind of weird love triangle amongst a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I didn't even finish it because it's softcore porno.
It is, man. It's
the characters in this movie. There's a lot of sex in it. I mean, a lot, like an obnoxious amount. And then there's actual penetration, and there's actual like she's got his hand on his dick or whatever. And I'm like, holy fucking shit! Like this is a movie on Netflix. Like this is a challenge or a challenging watch because it's like I had to turn it off.
A kid could find that easily.
Oh, I know. Just a kid could be like Love, and it's
like a little girl, like or a boy,
although
just being like.
The thumbnail doesn't make it look like the thumbnail kind of looks like to the film.
Oh yeah,
you know, you kind of
but like maybe in their imaginations they're like, oh true love, like.
But it's Gaspar Noé's
and
love.
It just starts out.
Yeah, it does. It really throws you right into it, and you're like, holy shit! I'm for real watching this movie, like losing my mind. Like this is insane. Like I can't believe this. And so I didn't even finish it because, to be honest with you, for the most part, the movie was kind of boring to me. Anyway,
did the rocket go off?
What rocket? Oh, there is a scene where he's kind of like, oh god,
No,
can we talk about this?
Did
Is
your
this
rocket
appropriate?
go off?
What?
Did the rocket go off?
Did my rocket
Did
go
yours?
up? A very challenging,
launch?
questionable one. Yeah, it
Like,
did.
how?
Wait a minute.
How did this happen?
I'm
This
trying
movie.
I'm trying to watch a movie here.
I was like, this movie is art.
I mean, he is an art. It's an art house type thing. He does extreme films.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, by this Climax movie, I definitely see it.
It's to the top.
Yeah.
Like it's like
It's
worst.
incredible.
It's like worst case scenario.
Could that be like best picture of the year?
You know, I feel like if it had been released in time, it could have gotten a nomination for cinematography, like for anything, because the movie is a technical like masterpiece.
Mhm.
Like
Lots of one shots.
a lot of really long one takes that are so like seamlessly executed. Like the movie just flows. Like it has like this beautiful flow. The pacing's pretty decent. It could be nominated for a few things.
Yeah.
But you know, honestly, nowadays how the Oscars has been working though.
Lion King, 2019.
It's what about that?
It's picture of the year or whatever.
Is it nominated this year?
Lion King,
Is it
the new one.
the live action one? Or
Yeah.
it's not live action
It's
though.
live action, ain't it?
No,
It's animated.
Well, yeah.
It's CGI.
Do you think they got tigers to act? Everyone
They
keeps
got a real
calling
Simba in there.
That's the joke. Is everyone keeps referring to it as the live action Lion King?
Yeah.
But it's all CG.
I get it though, because it has real life people in it.
Does it?
Yeah.
There's no people in Lion King.
Tarzan. Oh wait, what are we talking about?
That's Tarzan.
Dude, I gotta be honest, I am like all over the place. This movie put me into a daze.
This movie, it's got a very transcendent like kind of feeling to it. Like it's very it kind of puts you on a trip. Like you go through this trip with these people and it's just, oh man. Yeah, I bet I could have won so many awards. Because this film, I mean, Gaspar Noé, this dude's got some talent. Like it's not a masterpiece, but it is impressive and great as far as camera work goes. Like holy shit. And whoever was the cinematographer, like really rocked it too, because the lighting in this film is on fucking point. It's dim. It's like very dim and not, you know, like saturated like you'd seen like Ghostbusters or whatever. It's like dark and yet also in some senses like bright and like stroby, neon-y kind of. It's like very, very dark reds and blues and greens. It's like beautiful, beautiful film. Color great. Great soundtrack. Performances great, even though there aren't even actors in the film. They're like real dancers, which explains why the dancing is fantastic as well. I'm not like a dancing fan. Like I don't like dancing stuff that much.
You don't like Step Up?
I don't watch like Step Up or like Dancing with the Stars or
How
whatever.
about Cheerleader Academy 3?
Is that a movie?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay,
I'm sure it is.
maybe we'll watch that and talk about it. I've never.
You know what I've been in the mood for, off topic real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
1980s spring break films.
Ooh, like Porky's or something? Is that like
Something. Just something to put me back there, like to that stupid...
I think Porky's is on Prime. We can watch Porky's. That's weird. See, I think we're talking like these characters talking in the film.
You know, it is. It's exactly, that's the bit we're doing.
Because the characters, the people, like the dancers in this movie,
Yeah.
are all like just
Oh
a
my
bunch
gosh,
of
it's
sex
nuts.
weirdos.
Yeah, that and crazy.
Like you got the two like cousins who were like the ripped, you know, gentlemen.
Banging each other.
They like to just like go out and like bang chicks together, like go out and like hook up with girls together and like wing each other or whatever.
I guess that's a thing.
But they're like also bisexual, but they're like super masculine about it. And they just don't give a fuck. And they're talking at the party, and they're like, "I'd fuck everyone."
It makes sense though. Like I get that that's a thing. It's
I guess,
just
like,
the way
the
the
friend-
acid like it has involved with it. It makes
Right.
it different.
It's like these people were already kind of out there. You know what I mean? Like these people already kind of had kind of like, you know, free spirited people in some sense. So it's like after the drug kicked in.
Man, and taking that much, how terrible, just terrible, and how long. Such a long trip.
It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster ride. The director of this movie said, like in a statement or whatever, like him describing his own movie, he says the first act is like a roller coaster or something. The first act is like a roller coaster, and then like the second half of the movie is like a ghost train, which kind of makes sense because there is a moment when this movie takes off, like it goes for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden there's a moment where it almost like valleys out and you just kind of drift across, like you almost like have a moment where everyone's like at the top, like the peak or whatever. They're the climax. Oh, it just clicked.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, this movie definitely has like an incline, and then it kind of mellows out, and then it gently kind of lets you down a little bit. Even though this is the type of movie that doesn't give you a chance to breathe, when the film ends, though, you find like this great relief where you're like, oh my God, it's over.
Yeah, you really do. And
Like,
you come out of it like,
I don't have to deal with that shit anymore.
yeah. And the killer, you get to find out the killer in the end.
Well, yeah.
Which is
I don't want to spoil
kind of
that.
satisfying for me because the whole time I would have been like, what bastard would have done that, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people, I've read reviews, and a lot of people were complaining about her in the film because they're like, who even was she? And it's like,
she was the one
set her
tripping
up.
like crazy balls,
yeah,
wasn't she?
Yeah, she was like
She's the one screaming.
They set her up in the beginning of the film where she would like, you know, the film
okay,
opens.
yeah. Tell me exactly what I didn't understand that.
So double spoiler alert.
Well, obviously these people have probably seen it now.
Well, hopefully, you should watch this movie and then listen to this. Anyway, so when you find out it's that girl, it's like the German girl or whatever, and she's the one in the interview.
It was the German girl who did it?
Yeah.
Oh, who pissed on the floor?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like she's the one who just goes out.
Oh, I thought it was someone else.
No, it was that girl. At least I think that it is, because that's at the very end.
Yeah.
That's the girl that
putting
is dropping
acid in her eyes.
The film ends with her dropping it in her eyes.
That sounds
like
so
a
painful.
lot of it too,
and a lot.
Like not only
crying
did she just have
because
like
of it.
Well, it's like so much that it's
it's
pouring out of her
eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Yeah, she just like loaded her eye up with it. Which is like she also just had a whole night of drinking it in sangria, like drinking a whole shitload of it. And so the next morning, what she do? She starts up.
So
with
why'd she do it?
Maybe like a little pick her up or something.
But why'd she do it?
That's the thing. There's really no motive. I think what the thing is
did she do it on purpose?
Well, she had to in some sense.
Of course. Right?
Here's my theory.
Or was she tripping and did it?
Here's my hot take on this character. So when we first are introduced to her, it's in like the interview, like where they're interviewing each of them, and you get to see it on the little TV screen, and it's all cute. They got the DVDs on the side, really cool, like shot, like way to do it. She's like talking, and she's like that she had just moved away from Berlin, so which is why I'm like, is she German or is she French? But she sounds American a lot. Like
she really
there's
does,
a lot of moments where she's like not having an accent, and then others and she does have an accent.
Exactly. It's almost
weird.
Like she's going through three different accents.
She's never seen speaking like another foreign language.
Yeah.
Like she speaks English every time the film has an interaction with her, you know. So she's talking about how she's coming from Berlin and she wanted to get away from the art scene over there because there's a lot of drugs. She's saying it's too much, like it's really extreme, and she couldn't handle it anymore. Saying that like her roommate was dropping acid in his eyes. She was like, I don't talk to him anymore, but he started putting it in his eyes, and that's what like made her be like, I gotta get out of here.
Really? Okay.
Right. So later on in the film, they're dancing, you know, whatever. And if you notice in the background in the shot where after they do the big dance routine,
right,
and then after that ends, they are like, let's party. And if you notice, when people are gathering around the punch bowl and like getting their glasses and stuff in the background, kind of like dancing a little bit, and she's like smoking a cigarette, and she's looking over everyone like getting the punch. Like she's just there in the background. Like, so this is a movie where like a lot of shit happens, like because it's like there's not really a main character. So it's like you're in this room with all these people. So there's constantly multiple people coming in and out of the frames, like in the foreground and the background. Like this movie hits you like on every level of sensory, you know, like you gotta kind of like, so when you go back and you get the chance to rewatch it, you can kind of like focus on certain characters and see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so like this girl, she's standing back there, she's like eyeballing it. She's just kind of dancing. You know, and she kind of has some suspiciousness about her. Like she's kind of like in moments kind of seems like she's looking around at everyone. Like she's just kind of observing. And like to the outside eye, like when you're first watching, you'd be like, oh, she's just there at the party. Like she's just having a good time. But she's kind of weird. She goes up to like the one girl, Sonia or whatever.
Yeah.
And she like tries to talk to her, and the one girl, you know, whatever. they kind of have like a little weird interaction where she's like, "Oh, you guys were so good, so good." And I think that the girl with the afro, the little girl with the afro, I think they were like supposed to be in some kind of a relationship
Okay.
because that girl's like up her ass the whole film,
Right. Yeah.
and it's like, "Why don't you pay attention to me?"
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on. That's never fully developed or explained, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, like if you go back and you rewatch the film, it kind of makes sense that would be her.
That is.
And she's
see, I
also
missed
the
that
last.
beginning a
She's the
little
last
bit.
one standing. Like when
Yeah.
the police
Oh,
get there the
yeah,
next
she's
morning,
just
she's like
dancing.
she's just there dancing still.
Yeah.
So what I think my theory is this movie is about this dance troupe that somehow has collected this insane like LSD addict who like doesn't understand reality from fiction anymore. Like
Oh my
she thinks she's
God.
her own roommate. And
Yeah.
when she's putting acid in her eyes, she's like seeing it from like I guess a third perspective. And
That is insane.
And is convinced that it's someone else, but it's her. Like she's
Right.
like got this multiple personality weird shit going
Yeah.
on. So yeah, I think it's like she just maybe.
Oh my God!
she
Just ruined
came-
all these people's
she came.
lives.
She's been high on acid so often. She's just on this other playing field
Yeah.
of existence that she just is like, fuck it, I'm gonna spike the acid, or I'm gonna put the acid in the sangria, and we're just gonna see what happens. So it kind of adds like she's like a that's like something a psychopath would do.
It's
Like,
exactly
it
that.
seems like a really cruel thing to
Yeah.
just dose like a room full of people with like an insane amount of LSD without like okaying it first. Like no warning. Like if that happened to me, that's the thing. You think about this movie and you go, if you're at this party
Yeah.
and you're drinking that sangria too and you're having a good time, and
It's
then all
the
of a sudden,
scariest feeling too.
all of a sudden, oh yeah, by the way, you've been drinking like just cups of LSD all night.
Oh my God! Everyone starts freaking out and yelling and
I know.
attacking each other.
That's the part like
It just breaks out like, oh,
yeah, the
I would go
violence in this
insane.
movie, the violence in this movie like explodes.
it really does. That
Like-
girl just stabs herself. She's
Just
pregnant.
cutting herself. That's another thing. This movie is like I don't understand. One thing, I guess maybe it's a nitpick thing, but one thing I don't understand is like they all are high on acid, and obviously a lot of them aren't happy about it.
Yeah, no,
how-
I'd be pissed.
How
dude.
could you be?
Oh my God!
So
But you
when
know,
they
when
start
you're on such a level like that, you would, dude. You go nuts.
when they start
angry.
like targeting each other though and being like, "You did this," you got the didn't drink.
Mhm.
And because she's pregnant, she doesn't want people to know.
Right.
First, we explained,
Yeah.
but she's pregnant. She's a dancer, so maybe that's it. Like she knows she's
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
have to like take 9 months out of her
Mhm.
career,
She wants to be like part of this right now.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's like this kind of pressure being put on her. Anyway, so that's why she doesn't drink. But all of a sudden, someone spiked the sangria. So the one person who didn't drink it would obviously be like the suspect, right? Or like the number one suspect.
Mhm.
So everyone starts freaking out on her and kicking her and telling her to kill herself and stuff. Like I don't understand how like they go from 0 to 100.
Oh, I know. It's
Like they just all become like assholes,
animals.
like animalistic, just like tigers who are just like, "Eh," and they just kill
Yeah.
each other. Like I don't understand how that happens. Like why does it have to be like that? Like why couldn't it be they all take acid and have like a good experience or something? I mean, like I understand. Like I guess that's the whole point of the movie is it's a bad experience, but still, like what in you? Like that means like are all these people just like that deep down inside of themselves? Because it's like that thing. Like it just makes you think. Like what the fuck? Like why would they respond that way? But that's the way they respond. So that's just part of the ride. Like that's the thing. This
Yeah.
movie's a ride,
It really is.
and you just have to strap yourself in. And it's kind of a little bit of a slow takeoff, but then all of a sudden, when it takes off, it takes off.
I know. And you're just putting in a whole nother reality.
Yeah,
Like,
you're just thrusted in and out of nightmares and
Oh, God.
beauty. Like some people are having a great
Right.
time, and
but
then
it just turn again into just like a
yeah,
nightmare.
it just dips you in and out of heaven and hell.
It really does.
And
It really does.
it's a good movie, man. Like it's just I like movies. I like a good movie that can invoke like an uncomfortable response. You know, like a movie that can really take like not I'm not gonna say tasteful. Like a movie that can just really make you squirm a little bit. Like on a real level. It takes me I think it's almost like I'm a junkie like chasing some kind of like better high because it takes me back to when I was a kid and everything would just scare you.
Yeah.
Like any kind of dumb movie.
Everything was new.
Because like this new horror film, you know, and it was just taken, like, I remember The Sixth Sense, I think, was the first horror movie I saw when I was a kid that really like fucked with me, that I was like,
Mine was
whoa.
a Scary Movie 3.
What? Wow. I don't know. I think maybe it was either The Sixth Sense, but we watched a lot. Any horror movie we watched after that was like traumatizing.
Yeah.
And now I've gotten older. You know how it is. You get used to them. Like, these are movies you can just watch, you know, whenever, you know.
That is true.
So I'm always looking for something that's going to be new and challenging to me, like something that's going to really get under my skin. And this movie just does. It just did. Like, it hits all those nerves of just, ugh. That's why I could not recommend this movie anymore. And then also, Gaspar Noé, if you don't know much about his films, maybe check out some of his other movies as well. But if you're new to him, this is honestly a good intro. Like, a lot of people say this is tame for his work.
Oh, really?
But to call this movie tame
I don't know about
by
that.
any stretch of the imagination is crazy.
Yeah, no. This movie is far from tame.
I'd say if you know Gaspar Noé, you know what you're getting into. But if you don't, and you want to start somewhere, start here.
That is a good
It's
spot.
his most approachable one.
And then you can go see the other one, Enter the Void.
Yeah.
Isn't that like another acid type of show?
Yeah,
Or movie,
I haven't seen it in a while, and I didn't really remember liking it. I've been wanting to rewatch it.
Maybe we can do that one.
We'll just watch all of this guy's movies. I want to see his movie.
Except for Love. I don't want to watch that movie with you.
Because I'll start jacking it. It's like muscle memory. It is porn. It's porn. Porn on Netflix is what it is. And I love it. It makes me laugh. But anyway, yeah, I could not recommend this movie enough.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're into like really fucked up psychedelic kind of type shit, like extreme, it is a foreign movie. So yes, you have to read it. It's one of those movies. A lot of people don't like subtitle films.
I think a lot of people do now. It's almost become like normal.
But like anime, a lot of anime is like subtitled. So it's like, I don't see why. And this is a generation of people who are obviously.
We grew up on subtitles. Like, you go anywhere, when you watch TV in like a waiting room, subtitles.
But I've talked to a lot of people who are like, I don't want a subtitle movie. Like, I don't want to have to read a movie.
Yeah. I'm kind of like that. It just really depends on what I'm watching. It
sucks. Those kinds of people who are like that out there, it sucks because they're missing out on like a whole nother caliber of cinema. Like, movies don't stop and end in America.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much cool shit out there, which feels weird to have to say that because I feel like everyone just knows that. It's like a general understanding. Everyone's like, yeah, foreign movies are crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many other ways that foreign films can show, like make a movie.
Right.
Like,
I'm glad they didn't do like an English dub version.
Yeah.
Hey, I feel weird. Hey guys, this is weird.
Except that in there when that girl's taking the eye drops, like, and it like whites the
lights out. Yeah,
she looked like an anime character.
A lot of the characters,
I want to know if anyone else thinks that.
A lot of the characters in this movie are very lively and animated. So this movie kind of at parts does feel like it's like an animated film. Like, because the DJ, like when they're doing a shot with him talking to someone, it's just like the angle they have him at, and like just the look of his face and the colors on him. He just looks like a cartoon character somehow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. He really does.
It's weird.
Well, what would you rate it?
Out of what, 5 or 10?
I don't know. What should we rate this on?
I would give it a 9 out of 10 and a 4.5 out of 5. No, fuck that shit. I give it a 10 out of 10 and a 5 out of 5.
Dang.
No shit. Word up. I'm not afraid to say it. I love this movie.
I feel like the same way. It was just an incredible movie. It's going to go down as like one of my, like, if I want to show someone a movie, I kind of want to show them that.
That's the thing, is like, I don't know who, you have to be like, you couldn't just show this to a room full of people. Yeah. Like, you couldn't just be like, let's check this out.
Like, I think that might have taken the place of Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Like,
this movie?
Just maybe.
I don't know. I don't know how people.
I love that.
I know, like,
movie.
movies when we were kids that we always wanted to see. I know, like, they've changed quite a bit. I don't know much about how that works, but this is a movie that, like, I do just want to show the world.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone should check it out, honestly. It's great.
That's why we're doing a podcast on it, really.
Yeah. It's an experience of film. Like I
Yeah.
love that this is a movie that exists today, but it has just come out recently. That is so different. It's a breath of fresh air. Because even you were saying that like during the film, you were like, "Oh, this is like an art house movie. Like this is like
Yeah.
an art. Like this is like a piece of art." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, I like to just call it a movie." It's like, but it ain't Avengers.
But it really is. It's art. Like it's so artistic. It's
It is
beautiful.
It's a beautiful, well-made film. I mean, like, yeah, if you're like a big cinematography, like camera work kind of person, like this movie is gonna like get you so rock hard because the camera work in it is superb.
Well, Dylan, I'm going to have to cut you there because it is time for
All right, we're done talking about Climax.
Complete Stories and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe.
Read by Dylan Kennedy. Or are you gonna read it?
No, you.
Okay, give me a good one. I want to read it.
I want to pick it. I want
to like make it a small one. I'm not reading the whole dang thing.
It's got to be a page. You got to read a page. I'll pick like one with like a lot of spaces.
a lot of spaces.
A lot of white.
Find the Raven.
All right, you do this. I don't know.
A lot of stuff in here, man.
That's what I'm saying. I got lost in there too, dude.
There it is.
Like, there we go.
The Raisin 754.
I just gave up. I was like, I can't. It's too much.
Why'd they put it? This is like the best one. This is the one everyone knows Edgar Allan Poe by, and it's so far back in this book.
Where'd you get that book?
I don't know. I've had it for like since I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, it's been.
Did you have the cover originally, or has it always been like that?
It's always been like this.
Coverless.
It
one.
looks like an old.
It does, doesn't it?
When it's Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah.
I don't know where this is from. Okay, what is it?
So you had that as a kid? You used to read that?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Well, as much as a kid could comprehend it.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
The Raven. Okay. I will now be reading The Raven, written by Edgar Allan Poe. You ready, AJ?
I'm ready.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, suddenly there came a tapping, as if some one gently rapping at my chamber door. "I is the visitor," I muttered, tapping at the chamber door. "Only this and nothing more." Ah, distinctly, I remember it was in the black December. It was in the, yeah. And such separate dying ember, what its W-R-O-G-H-T.
Rort?
Wrote its ghost upon the floor. Roft? I don't know. I feel like an idiot right now.
I do too.
I'm just going to move past it.
Okay.
I'm such an idiot. Its ghost upon the floor. It's whatever. Its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I whispered the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my book suitcase of sorrow for lost Lenore. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here, is forevermore. It's not done. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before. So now that I sit beating, so that now to sit the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, T is some visitor entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entering entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more. It's not done.
I don't want to hear this whole thing.
I do. It's not that long, bro.
Okay.
Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitantly then no longer. Sir, said I, or Madame, truly, your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is, I was napping so gently. You came rapping, and so faintly came tapping at my chamber door, that I was sure I heard you. Here I opened the wide door. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wandering, fearing doubling, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before, and the only word there spoken was whispered, word Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo muttered back the word Lenore. Merely this and nothing more. Okay, well, this is it. Last one. Back into the chamber, turning all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping somewhat louder than before. Surely, said I, surely that's something. Surely, I said,
is this still the Raven?
Let me just finish it. It is the Raven, but...
Okay. I don't...
Oh, this is a lot longer. I'm sorry.
Okay, here. Just hand me the book.
I get it. All right, so that was a part of the Raven. Great, man. I love this poem, man. I love it. I fucking dig it.
It's a beautiful poem, man.
It is.
But it's just like, that made me so tired.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Almost put me to sleep here reading.
Are you still listening, or did you fall asleep, listeners?
No.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Nuts. How many are there in this?
Poems?
Yeah.
A shitload, bro. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to this Climax review. Like I said, if you haven't seen the movie, you should go out and check it out. So good. It is so good. I promise you, you will not be let down. But wear an extra pair of diapers, because this movie is going to make you shit your fucking pants. So, that said, my name is Dylan Kennedy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got like lost in Edgar Allan Poe poems. I was reading
So,
one.
my name is Dylan Kennedy.
And I'm AJ.
And thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on Patreon, where you can support this podcast and help us keep doing what it is we do.
You sound like that dude who does the Affleck commercials.
Which one?
Affleck.
That guy?
Yeah.
Affleck.
You know how he sounds like when he's talking?
Affleck.
How does he sound? You know who I'm talking about? Isn't he like kind of bald? Like short little guy?
What's that guy's name? Yeah. He's got a name.
Jeffrey
Dahmer. That's it. Got him. Whew, dude, I was going to be thinking about that all night. So, anyway.
You did lock me in here for a reason. All right, that was awful.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.